Real quick before we get into today's video, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon for all their support, because without their help, the upgraded content that you see on the channel, that you really see in the video essays and a few of the lore discussions, would not be possible without their help. But over on the Patreon, you get sneak peeks of videos months in advance. Patrons also get priority on the Q&As. Every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul, and I give away a lot of good goodies in that. And it's also just really cool to talk to you guys in the DMs. And if some of you guys have theories that you want me to talk about on the channel, obviously I will talk about your theories. Just send them to me over on the Patreon. But with that being said, let's get into the review. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto episode 243. And gotta say, man, 243 has taken us out of that transition phase. We are now moving into the War of the Hidden Mist Village. The preparations for the most part have been completed, and we see when the episode opens up that there's a at-sea battle that is taking place where Chojuro is ordering the members of the Hidden Mist Village who are on its different battleships to start launching off water release attacks. And so you see a very brief battle at sea, and Chojuro is off looking at the distance. All of the people underneath them, they're getting super excited, and you can tell that Chojuro for the most part is looking to see where Arayumi is. And as that battle is taking place, we see that the oldest son of the Funato clan, as all this is taken on, he says that for the most part they've taken the bait, and he says that war is just like fishing, and the first person that gets a impatient streak is going to be the one that ends up losing the battle. And so basically what they're doing is that they're trying to do a diversion. They're sacrificing the different ships that they have in front of Chojuro's group in order to have a second group that is going to make their way across the land and do the unexpected thing, which is attack the Hidden Mist Village, which is completely left defenseless at this point. And that's why you heard me say a few weeks back that Chojuro, when all this stuff first happened, did the right thing by going back to HQ and manning the area, because you don't want to leave your home base unattended. And that's basically what Chojuro did right here. He went out to the front lines expecting there to be a battle, because Arayumi was somebody who last time it took Chojuro to take him down. So you had no choice if you were Chojuro but to do this. But the problem that you run into now is that Arayumi and his children, they've shown to be smarter than Chojuro anticipated. So I like that. And by forcing Chojuro into this situation right now, if he tries to get back to the Hidden Mist Village, he's not going to get there on time. But the thing that Chojuro has working for him is that you have Kagura, you have Hebi Ichigo, you have Bunten, and you have Kyoho, who are closer towards the village. And due to the teamwork that they have with the members from the Hidden Leaf Village that are inside of the village, they've been able to figure out that all this stuff going on is a distraction. It was actually Kawaki who put 2 and 2 together and realized that all those ships at sea were essentially a distraction, and that the real threat was coming via land. And what I like about this is that we get more information about Kagura, and what we learn about Kagura as we travel over to the village where Kagura was raised at. We learn that there are people in the village that love him. However, the reason why he had to even go out to that distant area is because he was the grandson of the Mizukage, the 4th Mizukage, who was overseeing all of the Blood Mist Village stuff. And by default, he was viewed in a negative light because of the actions of his grandfather. And so for a moment, you realize that Kagura kind of got the Naruto treatment, where he was being blamed and he was being hated and treated with so much vitriol that it wasn't anything he himself did that deserved that. And so it kind of makes you sympathetic to that character. And what I like about this is that as they begin to come up with the strategy, they immediately say that they need to go ahead and start taking out all of the bridges that are on the area. And it's because Kagura and Sarada come up with the strategy that they want to try and force the members of the Funato clan who are traveling by land to try and go into, I believe it was a ravine. That way they can have an enclosed area to fight in. And what this does is it gives Kagura the opportunity to essentially be that prodigal son who returns home to defend that village that he grew up in. And also it allows him, by fighting in a way that protects the Hidden Mist village, it allows him to make up for the sins of his grandfather. The very village that he didn't feel like he belonged in at one point, he's now fighting to save, and he's doing so from the village that took him in. It's very poetic, and what I like about that is that they're using the landscape around them as a battlefield, and that's a key strategic element in war, which is to be aware of your surroundings. And if you're somebody that is fighting on land against somebody, you want to try and use the environment as a weapon in of itself, as a essential home field advantage. Kind of like how if you go to Seattle and you play against the Seattle Seahawks, you have what people refer to as the 12th man, because the crowd itself is just so loud that it throws off anybody playing. It's one of those things like that where Kagura is trying to use the natural surroundings in order to level the playing field, because even fighting with Boruto and the other members of Konoha who are assisting Kagura, they still have their work cut out for them. And what I like about this is that Kagura tries to give them a backdoor, and he makes a very intelligent decision. He says that before, when we were working together, we did so under the guise of I was helping you guys try and look for Dinky's team and to get the researchers from the Hidden Leaf Village. However, right now, this is war. And Sarada, for a second, looks like she's going to take Kagura's side when she says that you're right, but she was really speaking to Boruto, essentially telling Boruto that as a chunin of the Hidden Leaf Village, I agree with what you're saying, and it's because Kagura's in a tough situation that we can't allow our ally to fall, because if the Mist Village falls, it's going to create greater trouble for the entire area. And so Sarada basically made an executive decision right there, and I like that. While there is some potential blowback where if this falls short, Konoha is going to have a lot of blood on their hands, but it was the only real decision you could have made here. And what I like about this is that we see that Bunten, she has a very sharp mind on her shoulders, because she tells Kagura that, like, hey, we worked very hard on this mission with you, and the most you did was get 3 years off of our sentence. And she understands that they're in a situation where they have extreme leverage on not just Kagura, but the entire Hidden Mist Village and the higher ups. And she basically says, if we're going to help you, it ain't just knocking off a few years onto our sentence. You better knock off the entire sentence itself. And Kagura understands that he's in a situation where he needs help, and he has no choice but to give in to their demands. And what I like there is that this is just a lesson that is being taught, which is essentially, in life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you have leverage to get for yourself. If everybody got what they deserved, everybody would have a white picket fence and etc. It's not something like that. You get what you're in position to leverage and negotiate. That's just a cruel truth about life. And that's essentially what Bunten did right now, which is essentially say, you need us. I know it. The whole circumstance just changed. And what I like about that is that we get moments where we get to see Kagura acknowledge the sharp mind of somebody like Bunten. We get to see Bunten and Sarada have their interactions where Sarada saying, you know, you actually came up with a good strategy. You see Hebi Ichigo let down her guard for a second. She fixes Metal Lee's pants when Metal Lee rips his pants because he destroyed the bridge and somehow ripped his pants down. She has that savage line where she says, typically I like killing people, but if I didn't have a sword, I'd probably be a seamstress. I'd probably be sewing stuff. Like, that's one of those things where you see a different side to the character. I'm not going to go as far as to say that they're shipping those two. I don't really want to get into those shipping thing. It is what it is. But what I like, though, is that as all that's going on, Boruto gets the revelation that Ikada has left. And when he left, it wasn't just one of those things where he left Kajiki and didn't say anything. He left the booklet where he drew all of his plans. And Boruto hasn't put one and one together to realize that Siren was his sister and that Ikada went to join his sister. But that's going to be one of the things you see during the climax. Boruto's going to come face to face with Ikada. Ikada is going to blame Boruto for what happened to his sister. And you're probably going to see those two end up clashing. Boruto's going to talk no jutsu, man. It's going to be a bit of a repeat from what you got during the Hidden Mist Filter arc where Boruto was able to kind of get through to Kagura. It's going to be a very similar situation like that. And so I did like what you see here. And I did like the moments of payoff where as Kagura is meeting with the people in the village that he used to live in, we just see more about Kagura as a character that gets you more invested in him. We learned that for a time being, Kagura was a lot like Boruto and Naruto, where he played a lot of pranks and he was doing little small things that basically got him in trouble. And you could argue some of that was for attention's sake. But the big thing that I like about this is that we also see that him being in that solitude is a big part of the reason why he was training. And so I like that we get more skin out of the character. Now, there are some death flags here for the character Kagura. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that those are false flags. But what I find interesting is that as we get closer to this battle that looks like it's shifting from the sea to being on the mainland, Shizuma is being shown in the next episode preview because he and Bunsen had a relationship. And now I'm wondering, are we going to see Shizuma show up in this final climax? Because you don't drop something like that with Bunsen, and you don't drop that when Bunsen and Kagura have had moments where it looks like they're setting up something with them, to not pay that off in this arc. So I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see some aspect of that right there. Now, the final thing that happens in this episode that I did take a lot of interest in is that Kagura, as they're making the preparations and they're trying to fortify the village, he's gotten the villagers to fight alongside him. And I do think that this is going to be one of those times where there's going to be a victory that sets back the Funato clan members who are coming through there. But I still think that there are going to be people who are going to be able to take an alternate route to the Hidden Mist village. This arc is not going to be over with for a while. So, I mean, overall, this was a cool episode. We got a little bit of action when things started off. We got to see more of the strategy element. We got to see some of the key principles of the art of war on full display here. And we even got some throwbacks to what you had in the first part of Naruto, where the whole theme was a ninja must learn to see past deception. The dumbest person in the room, Owabe, was the one that figured out that the note left behind was a complete deception, that everybody was thinking too hard. And it's because of Owabe's observation that they were able to come to this village and put two and two together. So I do like all those little small nods right there. But I mean, overall, like I said, this is a cool episode. We start off with some action, and then we also got to a situation where we got to see that the best offense is defense in this manner. So very cool in terms of that. So what I want to know from you guys is, how smart do you think Sarada and Kagura were to try and use the landscape of the area to try and make up for the numbers difference? And do you guys think that Bunsen made the right decision by taking advantage of Kagura's situation to try and get her sentence reduced down to 0? Let me know down in the comment section below. So always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.